Good evening, everybody. A very good evening to you all. This is Laidley Mort speaking. For the past 11 years, you've been accustomed at this time to hear the well-known voice of the Oracle answering your diverse questions on so many subjects. Well, now, it's my sorrowful duty to tell you tonight that we shall be hearing that voice no more. The Oracle, who in private life I can now reveal for the first time, was Mr. Frank Rowan. He died in hospital at Warrandyte, his hometown, just last week. Well, it's been my great privilege to have been associated with Frank Rowan in the Ask the Oracle program, not only for the 594 programs that have been sponsored by your State Electricity Commission over this station, but for some years before that, many years, on the national station through 3AR. I'm very sure that many of you who've been regular listeners to this program over the years will feel a deep sense of regret and loss that this fine gentleman and friend and true scholar has indeed passed away. Many of you I know have come to look on him as myself, as your friend. I think perhaps you'd like to know something about him, about the man who always preserved his anonymity behind the name of the Oracle. Mr. Frank Rowan, who was in the mid-50s, was born in the poor mining town in England. To gain his early education, he started work in the mines, and we'll remember he used to mention the mines, didn't he, many times in his answers to questions about subjects on that matter. Well, he started work in the mines at night at the age of just 14. And just after snatching a few hours' sleep, he studied by day at a university college. Over the years, the subjects he studied covered the widest range possible. He never gave up studying. He really didn't. He was always learning and always studying. And a remark he often made was, if I live to be about 500, I might become decently educated. You know, lots of people used to write to us in this program, and they used to say, by Jove, the Oracle. They used to say, you really know everything. He really objected to that, you know, because he used to say, I really don't. I'll learn from you people writing to us, and all I do is keep learning. He was a real researcher. You know, he had a very interesting and a very varied background. As a young man, as a youth, he traveled across Europe twice on foot. He spent 9 months exploring the antiquities of Egypt. He moved around India and Ceylon, and he sort of poked into every odd corner of the British Isles. He really loved the British Isles as much as he loved Australia. He was a radio writer for the past 25 years, and among other things, apart from radio writing, he did a lot of writing for magazines, world journals, including radio scripts and scripts for the great and much loved Jack Davy. And he also wrote for the 50 and Over program we all remember so well. Frank also wrote scripts for the popular wartime program Star Night at Earl's Court. Remember that? Many of you will. And that program, Star Night at Earl's Court, it featured the top-line radio artists of the day in question. And as well as writing for radio, his activities included writing for scientific periodicals and short stories, as I mentioned. Science fiction, very keen on science fiction was Frank. He also made a number of films, documentaries, and things like that for large industrial organizations. And just coming back for a moment to Ask the Oracle, the idea for this Ask the Oracle program began in a weekend cottage in the hills, just near Melbourne, when a small group of young men and young women were discussing intellectual subjects. Some radio programs came in for criticism, and Frank Rowan, he took up the challenge to prove that a really good question and answer show would succeed. And as we all know, this he really proved by the wide variety of Ask the Oracle listeners that the program attracted, by the extraordinary number, by the amazing number of questions which have been sent in by young and old folk from all over Victoria, and even from places far beyond our state of Victoria. As you know, the questions answered each week by the Oracle have ranged over almost every conceivable subject: science, geography, history, music, law, famous people we've discussed so many times, zoology, archaeology, space travel, always interesting, and such a wide range of the more practical subjects, down to Mum's washing machine, you remember, detergents and all sorts of little contentious things which were so interesting. Frank Rowan once said he numbered amongst his friends scientists, writers, musicians, artists, old bushmen, and dogs. Loved dogs. His particular interests in the classical field, if I might put it that way, were classical music, collecting unusual records, particularly ballet. Loved ballet. He loved to meet old and interesting people, and not so old either. Anything unusual in the field of culture. He adored chess and golf. Remember, we discussed at length one program, and we decided that golf, that started over there in Holland. Well, so be it. That is the history of the man. Well, my good friends and Frank's friends, I have here now a final message from the State Electricity Commission, our sponsor of Ask the Oracle, and this message reads as I speak. We very much regret that the death of Mr. Rowan brings to an end our long association with this program. We've greatly admired the manner in which Mr. Rowan has maintained the interest of this program in the past 11.5 years, during which it has been sponsored by the Commission. Besides the great wealth of knowledge and general information which the program has conveyed to so many listeners throughout the length and breadth of Victoria, it has enabled the Commission to keep everybody informed about its developments. Since no one can adequately take the place of Mr. Rowan in his role as the Oracle, we regret that the program will now cease. We wish, the message goes on, we wish to express thanks to all those loyal listeners to the program over so many years, and we apologize to those of you whose questions, unfortunately, will always remain unanswered. So, listeners, we come to the end of this program, which Frank Rowan created and stamped with his own personality. And for me personally, having worked with the Oracle for so long, it's a very sad thought that we'll no longer be at the same table with your questions and your friendship before the microphone in the program, and this was always a source for his interesting answers. Really, apart from his wide knowledge and quite fantastic memory, and not to forget the side lanes, remember, and these interesting little byways we used to wander in answer to your questions in opening new fields of discussion on the interesting subjects we were talking about, I myself found the Oracle a very humble man, a very kind, a very thoughtful man. Yes, I will miss him. I will miss the Oracle very much. We had a lot of good times and good laughs together, and my thoughts go out to his wife, Rita, at this time of her loss. I think that the number of close but unseen friends he made on the air would number thousands, and I'm sure you will all feel very deep regret at his passing. So, this is good evening and goodbye from Frank Rowan and Laidley Mort, signing off in this your last Ask the Oracle program. Good night to you all.